Alright, so I came across an interesting video from Jake over at Rattlesnake TV. Honestly, I really do like his content, so it's no surprise that I came across this. However, I actually have a very different take on this conversation here. Even though we might be aligned on the same side, I want to go over this video because it's kind of targeted at Vivek Ramaswamy and how it relates to his faith as a Hindu and the United States of America.
So based on what the press says about your beliefs, you call yourself a Hindu, but you also call yourself Christian.
I don't call myself Christian. I call myself a Hindu.
Okay. So based on what the turning point's values are, which is Christianity, I'm a little confused on why you believe in I don't know. Wouldn't it be logical to conclude that?
Okay, to quickly summarize, because it takes him about a full minute or two to ask his question, he's basically asking, because you're Hindu, what value do you bring to us as a Christian society? That's basically kind of what he's boiling it down to.
So with due respect, I'll just cut in right there, because there's one thing I have a little bit of authority on. I'm actually a monotheist. I believe there's one true God. It's from the Vedanta tradition of Advaita philosophy, not stuff that we need to spend a ton of time here on, but since you asked about it, I wanted to address it. I believe there's one true God. Now, let me just ask you, because I know that may be a hard thing to process. What's your faith?
I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus.
Great. Do you believe in the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit?
I think a lot of people here do. So
good. And that doesn't make you a polytheist, does it?
Probably not, no.
Great, because I think this is it's a great spiritual question. There's good dialogue here. Is every religion has its reconciling of the one and the many. And so in my faith, I believe there's one true God. He resides in all of us, and he appears in different forms, but it's one true God. So I'm an ethical monotheist. That's the way I would describe my faith. Now, I will tell you, I'm not running to be pastor of Ohio. I'm running to be governor of Ohio, and I didn't run to be pastor of America. I ran to be president of the United States of America.
Vivek makes a solid point here, right? If he was going to, Vivek isn't the type of guy, from what I've seen him do, to go out and push his faith, Hinduism, onto people. That's not what he's going to do. Yes, he's someone of faith, of his own faith, and that's perfectly fine. But I get the feeling here that it seems like the conservatives are always pushing that Christianity needs to be at the forefront of everything that we do. And if you're not there, like Vivek is a Hindu, then you shouldn't be in any kind of leadership role. You shouldn't be leading. You should just be down supporting. And I think that's a little narrow-minded.
Can I ask you a question in response? Because I love dialogue like this.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think it's inappropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be, say, a U.S. president?
No, I think it's... no, well...
You be honest.
Isn't Hinduism... Well, I mean, I can ask yourself that Hinduism believes in Shiva and, what is it, the flute God, I forget.
Right, Krishna, who's you're thinking of.
Yeah, Krishna.
So the one thing for you to take away from, about my faith is...
So instead of answering the question, he kind of redirected it back to Vivek. And so I think the answer is yes. He thinks it is inappropriate for someone strictly based on your faith. And that is something I don't fully agree with. Faith can have a role, yes, of course, but that shouldn't be the only qualifier that determines someone's worth, especially when it comes to a political and leadership role.
I'm an ethical monotheist. I believe in one true God, the Advaita philosophy of Vedanta. And I think that as you think about the Holy Trinity and what that means for, you're not a polytheist either. That's a similar philosophy, and I'd love to kind of continue that over a religious dinner conversation sometime. But
you also call yourself a Hindu as well.
I'm a Hindu. I am a Hindu.
Despite there being many different gods in Hinduism and throughout their texts, they are all meant to be expressions of one ultimate source, which is Brahman. But even if that is technically true, it still doesn't make Hinduism compatible with Christian Europe, just because they technically believe in monotheism also, even if that is true, which I'm not 100% sure it is. But Hinduism and Christianity, they don't just disagree about theology. They have a completely different start point and completely different assumptions about reality. Hinduism sees the universe as cyclical, endless births, deaths, and rebirths. It treats the material world as something to transcend. Christianity sees time as linear. History has a beginning, a purpose, and an end. In Hindu thought, society is ordered around the idea that people have different spiritual duties based on where they're born, hence the caste system, which is not just social, it's metaphysical. Christianity, on the other hand, builds from the belief that every human being is created equal before God. And this is why Western civilization managed to develop the ideas like universal rights, individual freedom, and moral equality under the law.
everything Jake is saying makes sense if this was a religious role. If Vivek was trying to apply to be the Pope, yeah, that's definitely not going to fly. But in this case, he's running to be the governor of Ohio, or in the past, he wanted to be the president of the United States. You think just because Vivek is the president for 4 years, he's just going to hop in there? All right, guys, all this Christianity, yeah, that's out of here. I'm installing all of the new Hindu text in here, and we're going to start all learning this. I'm going to make it a law that's going to put it into the classroom. Like, come on, you guys. Let's be a little bit realistic here. He's not going to do that.
Our journey of leadership in this country, what matters more than the differences in our faith is our shared value set. And next to my faith and my family, this is the next most important thing to me. This is the Constitution of the United States of America.
The senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several states legislators and all executives and judicial officers both in the United States and the several states shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. But isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on Christian values as well?
So it actually turns out that my belief system, the core values, though the theology is different, the core value set is the same. We believe there's one true God. Don't kill, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't commit adultery. You familiar with the 10 Commandments? We're the country where, regardless of what your faith or your lineage is, if you subscribe to the ideals of our country, that's what makes us and brings us together as Americans.
But the kid is making a fair point there. America is a Christian country, whether they like it or not. And I mean, the people who founded the country and wrote those founding documents would have at least had pause for thought if they ever thought that there were going to be pagans from the East coming over and taking up high office in the country. And it clearly does say that the Constitution is for a religious and moral people. And who are they talking about when they talk about religious? Well, they're definitely not talking about Hindus. So honestly, I just don't really think that pointing at the Constitution is a fair argument there.
And this is the reason why I chose this clip. Actually, Jake, I think the Constitution is exactly what we should be pointing to. When we take a look back at the U.S. colonizers, where did they come from? They came from Europe, specifically Great Britain. And Great Britain back then was a monarchy. So when they fled, do you think they really wanted to come here and recreate a monarchy? No, they wanted something different. Our founding fathers were smart individuals. They knew what they were doing. If they wanted religion, Christianity, to be at the forefront of everything that this country is built on, they would have put it in the Constitution. But they did not, as we just saw from the previous clip. They wanted a logical, civil, fair set of rules in which everyone would be governed by. And I'll go ahead and put up some images here that shows that the founding fathers were aware of other religions and accepted them. So when he says religious people, he's not just talking about Christianity. He was talking about all these other people, some of which are the Jewish faith, Islam. They were aware of Asian faith and Hinduism, as it shows here in those particular clips.
Vivek, you would profess to be a conservative, correct?
I'm a proud conservative.
If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today, what are you conserving? You are bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth. Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He is part of the Holy Trinity, and any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith?
Like I said, I'm not here to justify my faith to you any more than you are to me, but what I do share is the value set this country was founded on. And I think that it's really important that we not reinvent the founding of this country and what it was actually all about. The founding fathers, they had an opportunity to write a religious code just like most other nations in human history. All right, founded either on a monarch or a particular faith or a particular lineage. That's where most nations in human history are founded. Not America. We are the only country in the human history where there is a set of civic ideals that brought together a divided polyglot group of people 250 years ago, where freedom of conscience was a core belief set of our founding fathers, all the way to Thomas Jefferson. You know who he is? You know what document he signed?
The Declaration of Independence.
Nice.
Yeah, and what was his belief system?
He was a deist.
Nice.
He was a deist. Our third president, the man who signed this nation into existence, was a deist. Do you know who Benjamin Franklin is?
Yes.
Do you know what his belief system was?
He was Quaker, yes.
Nice.
He was also a deist, similar to Thomas Jefferson. So what I think that we often do is we talk about U.S. history. I have a better suggestion. Let's actually consider reading U.S. history. Learn the founding of our country, and that's what made our founders, I believe, the most extraordinary people known to the history of man. We would do well to actually respect their legacy rather than to reinvent some sort of imitative version of every other nation in human history. That's not us.
Vivek nailed it. Put this kid in his place. Don't get me wrong. I like his energy. I like that he's asking questions and whatnot. But how many of y'all actually know about the people that brought this country into existence, about our Constitution and what they believe and what they wanted for this country? Yes, we could still, and I still believe this too, Christianity should be the main religion here in the United States. I don't want to see any other type of religion, come and take over. But at the same time, it's not always about religion. It's not always about faith. When it comes to this country's creation and how it is ran, who is going to, best take us moving forward with the ideas of our founding fathers, I think should always be considered. And that's why I think Vivek should be considered for some of these roles, despite being a Hindu. You don't have to have the same faith to meet each other on similar ground. Like he said, are we good people? Can we respect each other? Do we stand by our word? Do we have honor? Can we compromise? Can we talk to each other like human beings? And I think that's one of the main things we should be leading with. And then our value set should come after that, because not everyone in this country is Christian, but that doesn't mean that they can't be a good person. That does not mean that they can't contribute to making this country better.